Alright, welcome back to part 2. So you saw part 1, we did the scouts, archers, and skirmisher openings. So in part 2 we're going to be doing the drush, French drush, and men-at-arm openings. So instead of putting a villager to berries and doing a mill, we're just going to send this villager to food, and this villager within the house will come back to this board as well. So we're not going to be doing the mill until later, and we'll wait till we have 175 wood, and then we'll build our barracks. We'll need to take this next board reasonably quickly, because got a lot of villagers on the TC. I'll also go over doing 2-range archers as well, which is a build order more for 10 games. So I'll do that at the end of this video. I didn't really fit anywhere else particular, so I'll just put it at the end here. Didn't want to make this 4 parts. So I might need to start taking this a bit as well, and we'll need to do our barracks. Sorry, got a bit flustered there. So I'll mention I've already got a save point. So for the first build here, I'll do a drush. So for drushing, we'll go up at 20 population instead of, sorry, 20 villages instead of the normal 18 villages. I was using villager count now because obviously we'll have some militia as well for drushing. So we'll also need to do a house with one of the villagers on wood. And then this villager will come back to food once it's done there. This is one of the build orders which will go more than the usual population up. And that's because we're making some militia, so we won't have the resources to go up as fast as some of the other builds. Since we have 3 on wood, our barracks is slightly later than like a 4 on wood drush. But it does mean we can click up a bit faster than normal as well. So it's like advantages and disadvantages to both. So we make 2 militia. You can do a 3rd militia as well if you wish to. I'll just mean that we'll have to be clicking up a bit later as well. So we can start sending villagers to food. So you can see we get 20 villagers after this villager. So that's when we'll do loom and click up. Almost a full of that mill. So Drush can go pretend it's fighting off somewhere. So we'll send until we got 10 on berries. You can click up. I got a bit of a idle time just because I didn't force drop on the time. That's alright. From here you can adapt and do lots of different strategies, so it's a bit hard for me to say do this specific thing. But we'll send 4 to berries at least, and then usually I go about 8 to 10 on wood. And then you can take gold if we're going for archers, which is probably the most normal approach. So some bills on wood. I won't go too far on this build order, I'll just show a rough concept of what I'll do. It's 10, this wood line isn't the best, but I'll try and sort these villagers out. And they'll sort themselves out. And I'd even put maybe a few more on berries just to get a bit more of that in. I'll go like that, and then I'll do archers once I'm up, and then you can just play like your normal game from there. Put more villas on wood, and stragglers, sorry, and then do farms. So that's the drush, and then we'll load up. And I have a save point from before. Save point 2. So this is in the similar spot we were in before. But in this instance we'll do a French drush instead of the normal drush. So French drush is meaning we're clicking up before we're making militia, but we're not doing the men-at-arms, we're just doing 2 militia. So it's kind of like a low commit men-at-arms, you could say. So it's not as critical that we find damage than men-at-arm build, because we can adapt a bit more behind it, like get a bit better economy. We drushed, so we still need to do our house. So let's build it back here, and we'll go 19 population up. So this will mean arms are both lightning population up. Click up, and then what we'll do after we've clicked up is we'll send villagers to wood until we have 8 there. So this is basically the same as the scouts, archers, and spear skim builds we did strategies rather, we did last week, or in part 1 rather. And then once we have the food, we'll start carrying some militia. Once we have the wood as well, we'll also do a mill. And then we'll send several vills off to that. It's about 5 should be okay. So just doing the 2 militia. And then if we're doing archers, we'll build a mining camp. Archers is probably the most typical follow-up, but there's a few different variations we can choose to follow up with. I won't go over them in too much detail here. Possibly in a later video I might. So I'll speed up until we get up to the next stage. So we'll do bit X, and we pretty soon can do our archery range. If you want to do your range faster, you can delete bit X in this case, but yeah, it's fine. The new vills too. We'll need a couple more on gold. Once we got about 4 on gold, we will start sending more vills to stragglers, and we'll start doing farms. We'll also need another house. We're just stuck. Alright, and then just play on from here. Yeah, so that's how you do the French Drush. And pretend these guys are actually fighting. Just showing an example of the economy, so don't worry too much about that. So then I'll load our save point back in. This time we'll do men-at-arms. Men-at-arms is probably the more difficult build to do with, strategy rather, to do with this build order. So just keep that in mind. We will need to be taking some long distance chickens for this one. Or have deer, but obviously we don't have deer in this case. Although, if you find neutral deer, you can build them as well. Just keep that in mind. So just get these. So we click up at 19. So we'll prepare for that. So click up now, and we'll do after that is we'll send 3 vills to gold. You can send 2 if you're not going to go archers behind it, but I'll send 3 because we'll plan for archers a bit later behind it. We'll go to 5 on wood. There's kind of like 2 variations you can do. You can do one where you do like the range opening straight away, but then you have to delay bit X, or you can do bit X straight away and delay the range. We're going to be doing 5 on wood, so that means we're going to be doing bit X first and then the range a bit later. So we're up. So first things first, we'll send 3 to gold. And we need to start sending some vills to chickens. I think this is most awkward about this is you can only afford one of the mining camp or the mill. That's what makes it a bit more difficult without having deer. So it just means that mill will need to be a bit later. So we'll do 3 militia, and they'll upgrade to the arms. And we should be able to do bit X not too long afterwards as well. I need to send 3 more wood. I said I would. That's why my mill wasn't quite on time. Never mind. So once we click up, you also want to send 5 to wood, which I didn't do in this instance. Oh, sorry, 5 total to wood. Yeah, so these bills should have been there faster, but don't worry about that for now. When my BitX might be a bit delayed just because of that wood count. So up, we click minute armor upgrades. These guys will fight the enemy. Probably should get these people on different chickens. And then we want to overqueue to our berries, so we have like 6 to 7 villages there. And once we've done that, we start sending a few more to wood. We want at least 8 on this wood line. We should be able for a BitX soon, but I might have to wait till these wolves come back. Oh, and we'll need a house. And other times I've done this build, I have maybe able to afford a BitX straight away, but in this instance I have not managed to. I think that's because I got to send a couple of bills to there. That's alright. BitX. Seemed we got 8 on wood, and then we should be able to do our range. So obviously if you have deer, this build is a lot smoother, and you can basically do the range and do BitX as well. So if you think you only needed the range earlier, just send more vills to wood, then less to food, and then just delay BitX. That's basically the way to do it. You can also see, since our range is a bit later than I normally do it, we do have a bit more on gold than we probably need, but that's alright. So I'll just leave the build here for now, but you can see this one a bit sloppy on my part, and the eco management isn't quite perfect, but you still kind of get the get everything you need. So something to keep in mind. If you don't have deer and you have no eco bonus, then the arm builds on 19 pop is quite difficult to pull off. So the last build we'll cover today is the 2 range archers. So for this one, we go back to save point 1. So our 2 range archers, we're not going to be building a mill. Instead, we're going to be building a mining camp, but we're going to be doing it at 15 population. So we'll queue this back to food. Otherwise, it's the same build order as before. As when we have our 3 on wood, and everyone else just goes to food, except for the 1 bill which will go to gold. So you can send that off about now. And this build is also quite difficult to do without deer, and in fact, sorry, I'll just pause it for a second. If we don't have deer, we actually change the build we do slightly as well in Feudal Age, because we will have to go to do our mill before we do our blacksmith. Whereas if we had deer, what you could do is do your fletching before you have to build a mill in your areas. So this is a less strong variation, you could say. So since we've got so many villas under the TC, we do need to start taking extra sheep as well. So it's got the 1 vill on gold. Do keep in mind if an enemy scout is nearby, you might have to ward them or something. Or use your scout to fight them off. And since we've got 1 build working here, there's a bit more difficult to click up, but we should still have the resources. Cool, so you can see it's pretty close though, so if you're not so comfortable with doing quite close builds like this, then just add an extra villager, and it'll still be pretty fine. So our villager distribution I'll just talk about, because it's a bit different to some of the other builds. We're going to send 10 villagers on this wood line, so we have quite a lot to afford our 2 ranges. Then we're going to have 2 villagers on the straggler, and we're going to send 1 more villager to gold. Once we've got our ranges up, we're going to send these straggler vills and to the build a mill and take berries. And we'll also send, once our sheep run out, the 4 villagers here to take berries as well. So I'll just hang on. I'll try not to pause on actually doing stuff. I'm not worrying too much for now about the villas which are injured. No, but if you're in an actual game, you probably do need to pay a bit more attention to that. Just keep that in mind. So we should have 4. Let's calculate it somewhere. Yeah, need 1 more on wood. Sorry. So you should have 4 on food. Basically, if you got 4 on food, you've probably done everything else right. 2 on straggler, 2 on gold, rest on wood. So we'll get a build out here, start working on our barracks and our house. So we need a house. So just keep in mind, when we take villagers away from here, we'll need to put them, we'll put in an extra villager to go in our berries. But otherwise, every new villager we create, except for the one we need to compensate for this, they will go to gold until we have either 7 or 8 on gold. I tend to do 8 if you're doing for fast fletching, because you need the extra 50 for gold. If you aren't, which we aren't in this case because we didn't push deer, then we will just send 7 to gold. And once we have 7, we start going into stragglers and building farms. Send a second villager out here because we needed 2 villagers to do our ranges. So probably want to get started on that house as well. Maybe a little bit late on that, that's alright. So because we took away 2 villagers from the straggler, our first 2 villas will actually go to the straggler, and these villas will go to gold. But that's just because I'm using them for building. Just keep that in mind. And we can't afford Bidex on this build, by the way. Oh, there. So 2 rangers going up. And we start building our mill. These villas go to here, and 1 more villa goes here. And then the rest go to gold until we get 7 on gold. The one thing which is a bit different when we have deer is the 2 villages on the straggler. Essentially, instead of doing this mill, we do a blacksmith with one of these villages after we've done this house. And then the villages which were here, they just go to back to food, because we'll still have quite a lot more food if we were taking deer. So that's basically just the difference. And we keep building houses. Actually, I'm building a house there, but never mind, we can build 2 houses, that's fine. So our 6 on berries. You do need to overload your berries potentially quite a bit in this variation, unless you're taking chickens, which, to be honest, it is probably a good idea to take chickens as well, but for simplicity's sake, I'm not in this tutorial videos. But it is fine to have like 7 or 8 even on berries if you need to. So we've got constant archer prediction. So the 7 on gold. The 2 range archers is better than team games and 1v1s, because in team games we have an ally doing scouts, which will help support you. Whereas in 1v1s, you get countered quite heavily by skirmishes. So just do a couple of farms. I'll just keep going until we can do fletching. Without any extra resources and with no eco bonus, it does delay fletching quite a bit. Right. Just keep in mind, if you have an eco bonus and deer, then you can do fletching very fast. Just keep doing houses. And after we're doing 1 more farm, we'll start saving for doing our blacksmith. So as soon as we have 150 wood, we'll do our blacksmith. And it's between these archers fighting the enemy or whatever. So blacksmith, we'll also need a house as soon as we can. Also send an 8th to gold. I like to do that once we're doing fletching to help afford it and keep our constant production. You also need more on gold to get the 200 for Castle Age eventually anyway. Cool, and then we can do fletching. So again, this is quite a late timing on fletching, but it's just because as a result of the lack of food and eco bonus. Cool, so that's how you do the 2-range archers. So hopefully those builds have been helpful, and I'll do a part 3 which will be on fast castles. So I'll see yous.